Hi, my name is Dr. Annie Alexander, and I'm here today to talk to you about anxiety and trauma and how it gets in the way of your life purpose and what you can do about it. What is your life purpose anyway? Well, it's what you're here to do. It's what you're really passionate about. It's what you can't not do. It's who you are, becoming fully who you are. But when you have anxiety or you have a traumatic past, it can really get in the way. It can be an obstacle. And that's what I call a timeout, where it seems like you're just not moving forward. So you might be feeling very stuck and know where you want to go, but not be able to get there. Anxiety usually develops as a result of some kind of trauma, and there are different kinds. There's low levels and there are very extreme levels. It could be a chronic situation. Let's say there was alcoholism in your family, and although you were apparently safe and you had a roof over your head and clothes on your back and food to eat, the emotional environment really caused you a great deal of stress. Anxiety could be messaging that you received from caregivers or from parents where you were feeling just a little less than, or not very important, or not very lovable. If you had a parent, let's say a dad, who was a screamer and a yeller, and every time you opened your mouth, instead of talking to you, he yelled at you, you might begin to feel that you were not very worthy. You wouldn't be thinking, gosh, I wonder what's wrong with him. You would be thinking, what's wrong with me? And that can be the basis for a traumatic childhood. Sometimes trauma does come from violence, war, hostage situations, difficult neighborhoods, particularly poverty neighborhoods. Children are left to feel unsafe all the time. They're terrified, they're overwhelmed, and they're helpless to change it. And that trauma usually comes at the hands of someone else. It's not something you do to yourself. And that's one of the hallmarks of trauma. Somebody else or some group of others instigates it. It could also be caused by something such as a traffic accident. It could be a minor fender bender, like when you're just learning how to drive, or it could be a really serious accident in which someone was injured. In either case, it could be very, very traumatic. I remember such a case when I was growing up, and I was only 15 and had gotten my driver's permit. And I'd been waved across an intersection by a bus driver who was had the broad view, and I didn't see it. And I inched out and bam, got smacked by somebody. And not only was that traumatic, it ruined my driving record, but I knew what I had to do when I got home, which was to face the music of a very unhappy set of parents. And that caused a lot of problems for me in growing up. Not all anxiety is bad. We need a little bit of it because it's a feedback mechanism. It warns us that we might need to take action to keep ourselves safe. But when we have too much of it, as in the case of trauma, it makes us feel overwhelmed, maybe a little insecure, shy. We never really develop ourselves. And that sense of confidence that we see in others, we just never have. And lack of safety is the root cause, hiding behind the anxiety, where we just have never quite felt safe, but we're always attempting to compensate for that. That's a traumatic situation. Trauma can also negatively impact you in terms of your health. Your immune system can really go sideways quickly with trauma, fibromyalgia, all kinds of immune system disorders and illnesses often have their root in trauma that we've long since forgotten. When trauma remains unresolved, that's a big problem because it is always operating in the background. And anxiety may come out as the manifestation of that trauma. And we may not really be sure what we're so anxious about because we know that everybody else around us is not responding in the same way we are. So we begin to doubt ourselves. And it's okay to doubt yourself so long as you get to the very bottom of what's causing the problem. At least 80% of the US population struggles with these symptoms. Here are some of them. Poor sleep, we call that insomnia, headaches, Migraines in particular, how many people do you know who have called out of work because of a migraine? Lack of motivation is huge. People that just can't seem to get going, to launch themselves. They want to start a new business, but they're so hesitant. That is termed lack of motivation, but the cause is really well underneath the surface. It's like an iceberg. It's like an iceberg, where the tip of the iceberg is what we're doing right now. We're using our conscious mind to talk, but below the surface, that's where the subconscious is holding all of those traumatic experiences that you haven't yet processed that are getting in the way of your motivation. Things like stomach issues, IBS, gastric reflux. If they're not due to a physical cause, they're most likely due to some kind of anxiety, especially the gut, very prone to anxiety. All right, what else? Oh, there's so much more. Smoking, drinking, overeating, emotional eating, reactivity. How many people do you know who say, well, I've got alcoholics in the family and now I think I might be becoming one myself. So it seems to be in the genes. Well, if that's the route that you want to take, go right ahead. But having treated a lot of smokers and drinkers and emotional eaters, I can tell you that the cause is usually rooted in some kind of traumatic incident or series of incidences, a chronic pattern at home, for instance, a chronic messaging that you received. And now you will use drinking, smoking, eating as a distraction for those uncomfortable feelings. Hypnosis comes to the rescue because it allows you to focus on those uncomfortable feelings in a very safe and very relaxed way, which makes rewiring those feelings super easy, super quick, and then you can move on, jump right back into your life purpose or develop it for the first time. Here are some more symptoms. Depression. Who do you know who happens to be depressed? Confused, having a pattern of difficult relationships. Why am I attracting that narcissist all over again? People who are underachieving and people who just don't seem to be in charge of their emotions. Someone who is just hair trigger angry or cries at the drop of a hat. This is not emotional management. This is trauma speaking. This is chronic result. This is the chronic result of a traumatic event or series of events that is just not quite resolved. And that's where hypnosis comes in. Trauma can block you from your life purpose because it can send up one challenge after the other, and it makes you feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill. And for every step you take forward, you're having to take 2 steps backwards. It's super frustrating. It can also cause you to turn inward. It can be that shy child. I was one of those shy children. I wasn't at first, but then I became shy. I was a pretty precocious kid, but after enough trauma, I moved into a period of shyness, and now it doesn't take much, just a little glance, and then I might just shrivel all up into myself like a shriveled little flower. Except that I know how to move through that now, and I understand what the causes are. So if you yourself have difficulty with being shy, social anxiety, not being able to speak your mind, not being able to assert yourself, hold your own position in an argument without becoming overly sensitive, overly defensive, then you'll know you've probably got a root within you that hasn't yet been resolved. And that's where hypnosis can come to your aid, because anxiety can really restrict you. It can knock out those opportunities, take them right off the table where you just don't get to do what you want to do. What about all those trips you want to take? With your IBS, can you do that? What about flying on an airplane, which for some people is super easy, but for other people, very difficult? How about going to the dentist, taking care of yourself? There are so many ways which trauma and anxiety creep into our lives where we are just not full enough of ourselves and have the confidence that we need to get the traction to do what is in front of us to be able to take those steps to enjoy our life, to really step into who we are. Because our default position is that we're programmed to feel good about ourselves. We're not programmed to feel bad. Life is not programmed to be difficult. It's challenging, that's for sure, but it's not programmed. We're not programmed to feel badly about ourselves. We get that programming from things we absorb that we don't attend to or that we assume are true. And when we don't confront or don't know how to confront and don't root out, that will cause us to feel like, I'm not sure if life is just worth living. The depression can be just that deep, but there's hope. There's always hope, because hypnosis is the bridge connector. Hypnosis takes you from where you are in that stuck place and just launches you step by step, appropriately, very stepwise, from where you are in that stuck as molasses place, not knowing if you want to turn back, not knowing how to get forward, seeing your life purpose, seeing the vision of what you want to accomplish, but always having it out of reach. Hypnosis comes along and says, I'm your man. I'm the one that's going to help you get from point A to point B, and I can do it in very short order because it's very fast. It's lightning fast, and the changes are permanent, especially when you work with a 5-path hypnotherapist such as myself. We are trained and designed to uproot, to reveal the cause of your trauma. It's just that simple. It may be something that you don't even know you have an idea of, but it actually turns out that it was something else that was more prominent. And that's what hypnosis does. Goes right to the source. It's like a lightning rod to the ground, goes right to the source. And therefore, we can root it out. We can rewire it, neutralize it, eliminate it. And you move forward feeling very, very good about yourself, ready to jump into your life. Because hypnosis eliminates the trauma. It doesn't change what happened. It doesn't change your story. We don't want to do that. We want to allow you to incorporate your feelings, to integrate your feelings into the situation as opposed to just having a cognitive approach that says, well, yeah, my dad was probably right. I don't really try very hard. Yeah, I guess I'm going to be kind of a loser. Yeah. So that's just the cognitive approach. But what about all the feelings that are attached to that? That's where we come in. That's where hypnotherapy comes in and connects the feelings with the cognition and gives you your turbocharge that you deserve, that you came into this life with and that you came into this life for. Hypnosis is extraordinarily powerful. It works with people of all ages. I've worked with kids as young as 11, and I've worked with older adults in the age range of 80 plus. Anybody who wants to make changes, hypnosis is here for you because it reveals the root cause of trauma and anxiety. No Band-Aids here. Get it fixed, get on it, and get moving forward very, very quickly. By the way, hypnosis is not sleep. Even though most of us are familiar with hypnosis through stage hypnosis, that's entertainment, where everybody goes to sleep in a domino effect, and people you've never met before are sleeping on your shoulder and you're sleeping on somebody else's shoulder. But it's not sleep. It's interactive, highly interactive. It's conversational. We're partnering together. You are very focused on my instructions. You are very focused on what's coming up in your mind at that time. And that's what we're working with. It's a state of focused attention. Very exciting to be that relaxed and be that focused all at the same time. So you can trust yourself that hypnosis is not somebody doing something to you, nor are you going to sleep and waking up differently. A, you're not going to sleep. And B, if you do emerge differently, it's because you've done the work. So you're in charge. And that's what we want to emphasize, self-management all the way through. It feels differently for everybody. However, most people report feeling very light, feeling freer, feeling more confident, and most of all, feeling like you have some peace of mind. You go into hypnosis thousands of times throughout your lifetime and dozens of times every day without even realizing it. Anybody have a cell phone? All right, raise your hand. You got a cell phone. Anytime you scrolled Facebook, anytime you've been checking your email, anytime you've been doing something of any value in your phone, maybe it's even playing a game, you're in hypnosis. You're focused, your attention is 100% there. That doesn't mean you don't hear the kids calling. It doesn't mean you don't hear the dog barking. It doesn't mean that you don't hear another email coming in. It just means that you're choosing to focus on your task at hand, which is identical to hypnosis. Ever get caught up in a good movie on Netflix? Ever decide you want to take a trip and you're just humming along, listening to your tunes, wondering why or where the exit might be? Maybe you've missed your exit. That's hypnosis. It's just focused so much so that the world is flying right by you, and you're pretty happy about that too. You'll use hypnosis to eliminate the beliefs that have been holding you back. And more often than not, those are unconscious, which is why willpower doesn't really work so well. You can go on a diet for just so long, but then after a period of time, you find that, boy, this is really becoming a struggle. With hypnosis, it won't be a struggle because we're dealing with the underlying factors that have been holding you back. And it occurs with every issue that people come to hypnosis for. We deal with the underlying issues. That's fast, that's effective. And when it happens that quickly, boy, you start to shine through. It's like cleaning the headlamps or the headlights, on a car, and they get this film or this fog built up on them. Well, just give them a good polish and the headlight beams will start to shine through. And the same will be true of you too. That way you can feel more connected. You'll feel more engaged with life, wanting to engage. You'll feel a whole lot freer and so much relief. You'll begin to flow in accordance with your life purpose. So even if you had an inkling of what that is, but weren't really sure because of all the limitations you were dealing with, once you get on the other side of hypnotherapy, you're going to be pretty darn clear about how you want to proceed. And by the way, this is a picture of my beloved Maroon Bells in Aspen, where I hail from, in case anybody's interested. So what are you waiting for? Check out Northwest Hypnosis Center. Give me a call. Get on the website. There's a contact me on just about every page. It'll hook you up with Calendly. We'll have a free 30-minute conversation just like we're having now. I'll answer all of your questions. You'll get started. You'll feel like this is going to be purposeful for me. It's going to solve the issue. It's going to be done very deep spring cleaning. It's going to resolve so many of the issues and even then some. And you're going to feel really good about getting back into life and doing what you know how to do best, which is to be yourself. So don't wait. Give me a call. I'm looking forward to working with you, and I can't wait to hear all about it. Thanks for joining me today.